Good evening, welcome to Expat Insight. I'm your host Raju Mantian. Here at Expat Insight, we take external views of internal successes by foreigners, expats and immigrants who have made Philippines their home. This week being the 62nd Republic Day of India, our guests are Indians who are not really Indians but Filipino Indians. No, not really Filipino Indians but global Indians. Indians who were born and raised here but have now conquered the world, so to say, you know. So my guest tonight, a very young couple, not really couple again, but friends who've just met. Miss Gautam Dadlani, born and raised in Cebu, half Filipino, half Chinese, 100% Cebuana, lives in Chicago and rules Chicago. And my other guest, Gautam Dadlani, Executive Director of the Filipino-Indian Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines, born and raised in the Philippines, and now is a businessman and a social worker. And we are here to talk about how it is to be a Filipino-Indian in a world that is fast flattening on this 62nd Republic Day of India. Welcome to Expat Insight, Shana and Gautam.
Thank you, Raju.
Thanks for having us on. Thank you.
So, a little bit about yourself. Born and raised in Metro Manila, or?
Born and raised over here. I studied over here. Basically, I've lived here all my life. And I travel to India about once a year. And of course, this is primary home for me. India would be a secondary home. And it's a good opportunity to compare the differences and the similarities. And you learn from both sides. You take what you like, you scrap what you don't like. And that's basically
so when you think, or when you did your thinking as a kid, did you think through a Filipino screen, Filipino glasses, Filipino mindset, or an Indian mindset on the streets? You know, when you have to survive on the streets, of course, at home you are safe. Yeah, but when you went out to school or out on the streets to play basketball with your kaibigans or barkada, what did you see the world as?
I think at an early age I was able to see both, because there are some distinct differences at home that are, you know, very different outside, and at the same time you can see how you have to adapt, and you're happy to adapt, and you land up somewhere in the middle. You know, just it's like sweet and sour sauce. You know, you get a bit of this, a bit of that.
Right. So let me just take one more question from him. What was the most exciting part of being Indian, born and raised in the Philippines, or being a Phil-Indian when you were young? What was the fun thing? Hey, man, this is so amazing, my life here. Was there anything?
I think it was just being a kid. Going back to those days, yeah, regardless of...
You can be a kid anywhere in the world, but I want to know, what is it that you do? How do you describe your profession? What keeps you busy?
I'm into home furnishing, so basically I manage a small family business, and that
home furnishings as in like sofa sets, dining tables?
Mostly linens, bed linens,
yeah. Okay.
Very small business that we've established some time ago, and that's basically it. Yeah.
And that, were you trained for that, or did you just adapt into a family business?
I think I did adapt, but of course I took management, and I think, you know, the younger generation sees that there are certain things that we didn't do in the past that need to be done now. So that's the case with everybody who has moved into their family business. You know, professionalizing it.
So traditional business, no? What you do, and if you have examples or samples of site, we'll hear from you, or you'll tell us about it, no? And you said you're in the traditional business, right?
Yes.
And your mom didn't go into the traditional business. But let me ask you this question together, no? How do you see India today? Everybody talks of India becoming the next superpower, and from where you are today, you don't know the history of India, of course. You were not there in the 30s, 40s and 50s when India was having a hard time. How does India look to you from where you are today? Gautam.
Well, I think they've really progressed. The country has really progressed from a socialist form of government that looked inside and looked at sustaining everything for the country.
Yeah.
And today they're a global performer. You know, people will still argue and say China is still the manufacturing capital of the world.
Yeah.
But I have to say, as far as the service industry goes, India really is the #1. And slowly they're catching up with manufacturing as well. For countries in Europe and in the Middle East, they will still prefer dealing with India because of the proximity, the ease of being able to ship instead of China. And
you're talking of physical trade goods when you talk about Europe and Middle East, okay?
Yeah. There are other things, biotechnology, that's a field that a lot of people don't really look at, but crop engineering is something that India is very, very good at.
You mean like agriculture?
Agriculture, yeah. Genetically engineering different crops for the weather patterns that we're seeing these days that are not very good. Heavy equipment, construction, mining, India has oil also. There's a lot of things that India has, and of course we have a lot of people. So
1.1 billion going, and you're spreading across the world. You now live, what does Philippines do with India? What is your community doing here, Gautam?
Are you asking in terms of social work or in
both,
business?
Trade and culture, both.
Okay, in terms of trade...
No, not social work as in what you do. What I'm saying is in terms of dealing with India. Bilateral, what is happening between Philippines and India?
Well, at the moment, of course, there's a lot of business development that's going on between the two countries.
In what areas, what sectors?
Mostly it would be BPOs. Okay, business process outsourcing, call centers. Indian medicines, of course, and the pharmaceutical side of things are growing heavily over here, and there's a need for that. There's definitely a need for that. And I think in the future there are very big opportunities in things like defense equipment. Specific sectors that people would not really always look at, but defense equipment is one of them. Agribusiness, agri-technology, and I think give Tata and Mahindra a few more years, and I think even
Tata and Mahindra, we need to specify what they are. Tata and Mahindra are one of the bigger conglomerates from India, right?
Yes.
Tata is the people who make Nano.
The Nano, that's right.
The small car. And Mahindra?
Mahindra is also a car manufacturer, but they do other things as well. Aerospace engineering, technology.
Are they the ones who partnered with Benz or...
That's Tata.
That's Tata. Mahindra partnered with
Mahindra
Jeep.
is...
Cherokee.
No, they actually use the same platform, but they were never partners.
How about the community here? Are you really active in increasing the bilateral trade? Your chamber, can you tell us a bit about the chamber?
Well, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce, you've interviewed our president before.
That was a year and a half ago during the Independence Day.
That's right, that's right.
2010, 11.
Well, basically we serve as a platform, as a facilitator between the member corporations and entities and the government.
Right.
And yeah, as far as trade goes, if there are inquiries, if there's anything that needs to be done, we're more than happy to take it up and work between both countries, because we're able to pretty much do both, bridge the gap.
And what role do you play, Gautam?
I handle the corporate social responsibility, or charities and social work.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm very passionate about. And I think charity starts at home. We can all sort of take out food and clothes, and it's an intrinsic moral law, it's an intrinsic thing that we have to give and to do. In Hindi it's called seva, or to serve, to be of service. That's done anyway. We can do it without any help. It's something that can be done very easily. But to take it to a higher level and to create a platform where we can reach communities and people that are in far-flung places, and we can specifically address requirements and needs, such as livelihood training, things that are more than just giving food and water, things that focus on teaching people how to earn for themselves and move forward.
Where did your personal awareness about this subject matter or this avenue of life come from? Is it from being from a traditional family, or is it because of the environment you lived in the Philippines, or is it because now that you're part and parcel of the Phil-Indian business community? I'm talking about you, Gautam. Where did you pick up these insights and saying that charity begins at home and it's not just about giving food and water? The statement that you just made.
I think it started at a very young age. As a child, I'd see my family, friends.
Your dad was born and raised here, or did he?
He moved here a very, very, very long time ago.
Way before the war, after the war?
A bit after the war.
Okay.
A bit after the war. My grandfather was actually here.
Oh,
before the war.
So you're third generation.
Third generation.
Bombay.
Third generation.
Okay.
Bumpino, they call it.
Bumpi. I didn't know that. Is there a word
No,
called Bumpino?
I've never heard
I don't
of that.
like it. I actually don't like Bombay too. But it's okay. I'm going to live with it because it's the language.
It's the language.
Bumpino.
Bumpino, yeah.
Okay, so
basically, you see, living in India or spending time in India, and of course living over here, you see the needs of people and say, all right, well, we are in a position to be able to do so many things. So let's get ourselves organized and make it work for them, and inspire others to say, hey, if you're selling this equipment, it can translate to livelihood. It can translate to service.
Simplified for me. I mean, what equipment? Are you selling electronics? Are you selling houseware, linen? How?
Okay, in my case, we're doing some.
In your company, in your family business case, not in the chamber.
Okay.
No, I'm asking you, when you made a statement saying that when you sell equipment, can you explain that to me? Give me a perspective so I...
Okay, as a person who's selling linen, you can always take the linen that is slightly damaged, that you can't sell but still very usable, and give them to hospitals, give them to people that need them. If you're selling cooking equipment, don't just give it away. Teach them how to cook. Teach them how to basically appreciate it. Do food processing. Make it a business. So everything you donate, if it's donated the right way and if people are trained, can be a catalyst for their entire lives.
Oh, all right. So teach them how to fish.
Yes.
Not just feed them the fish, but give them a fish and then tell them how to catch more and cook it.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Skill them up. Okay.
Skill them up and make them honest, capable members of society that will not turn to drugs or to rebellious organizations or to gangs or to things like that. So there's a moral aspect in that as well. Moral formation.
Shana, did you ever go pictures from Gautam and see what the community that Gautam represents is doing in this country? Let's wait for those pictures. Gautam, there. What is that, Gautam? You can talk over the pictures.
These are our students and constituents of the livelihood training, and what you see over here is basically students that have no skills
Location?
Training. This is in Rizal, Barangay Santana, Rizal.
Time? This year, last year?
This is a few months ago.
Okay.
This is a few months ago, and so they're being trained by Army engineers. Our partners, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, 51st Engineers Brigade and Civil Relations Service.
How did you participate?
I basically planned everything, and I purchased the tools to give them after they graduate from the course. So they have the tools, they have the training.
They're building kubos?
They're building barangay outposts, and so immediately they have employment from the city government per project basis, and in their free time they can work. That is the AFP Vice Chief of Staff and officers from the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And that's our closing ceremony, the graduation ceremony.
I don't see you. Is that you with the beard?
That's me with the goatee,
all
yes.
Right, okay.
And so that's our graduation ceremony for the 20 students. Those are the tools we give them. This is in another livelihood training. And we give them a badge.
I want to be a part of this.
Oh, sure.
I want to be a part of this. Anytime you do this, anytime you have a need for a person with gray hair born in the 30s, you call me for that. More pictures, or that's it?
That's it for now, yeah.
Now, community work, which you just showed, no? What does the future look to you? What kind of world are you creating being a global Phil-Indian? Realizing the fact that it's a flat world today. What are you creating, people?
I think, at least in my capacity as in this role that I have, I think it's basically inspiring people and letting them know that they can be catalysts for change.
Okay.
You know? It's not all about yourself or your business or your family or how you live and what you drive and where you live and where you eat and all of that. There has to be a sense of belonging to a greater community, to a larger part of society.
Like the song that we were looking at a while ago talks about that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we just have to engage people, creatively, and make them say, all right, I can do this.
Besides going out there doing livelihood training and providing some social good, what is your strategy in doing that as a chamber? What are you doing as a community rather than a chamber?
Well, as a community, I think it's basically...
Most of you guys are business people, and some of you are in banking.
Banking, BPOs,
Right.
pharmaceuticals.
But big picture strategy, what is it? What are you driving at and how?
Make money the clean, honest way.
Okay.
Share your blessings. Be happy. Live in
Yeah.
a better world. And that's
Yeah.
it. It's very simple.
What are your plans for the year coming up, 2012, or what have you done that aligns with that strategy?
Well, basically, we're working on other forms of social development. So we're working now with women, and we're trying to come up with a program where we teach reflexology, basic beauty care, something for kids where we engage them in more learning activities, distribution of school notebooks, school books, school bags, things like that. Things that are useful more than once. You know, I mean, giving food is very, very important, but it's something that you can do at home. This is something that you need to plan and organize, and people see a greater good in the cause. So that's what I have lined up.
And what have been your successes in 2011?
We have had,
Besides the one in Rizal?
Oh, we've had one in Rizal, one in Karanglan. We've had, I'd say, over 20 eye camps, and we've given a lot of classes. We've done medical missions. Recently, the tragedy in the CDO and Iligan, we've focused on...
When the crisis happened in Sendong?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah.
Sendong, the crisis, yeah?
Sendong, we basically focused on giving clean water. There's an outbreak of leptospirosis, and there are a lot of canned goods, a lot of... It's something really bad.
Let's not hear about it.
Without getting into those details. We basically focused on giving clean water because that's what people needed. Clothes, of course, shoes, and construction materials, because everyone's giving food, but there's no place for people to stay. So it's very important for you to understand what you're doing before you start giving donations. And if you want to make a difference, it has to be a useful difference. Understand the situation before you sign the checks and start donating.
And when you fund this, because this obviously requires some funding, how do you go about it? Does it come from out of your pockets, or do you make it self-sustaining? How do you go about it?
It definitely comes from the
pockets of the businessman?
The businessmen. I'd like to think it's a CSR platform.
Right.
So they see something that they like. The chamber presents what we're doing, and we've had tremendous support. People come forward, sometimes publicly and very often privately. A lot of our members say, you know what, we don't want anybody to know, but we like what you're doing. We're very grateful. Please, take our donations and see wherever you'd like to.
I'd like to explore that. Shana, I don't know if you're interested in that, but what about the Indian wants to keep a low profile? Because you mentioned that there are people who do the work, seva as you call it, and why do you want to keep a low profile? Why don't you want to be seen or heard or recognized for it? What is your reason behind it, or what is the philosophical reason behind that?
Well, I think
it's not fear.
It's not fear, not at all, not at all. The human tendency to get carried away with personal elation and all of that.
Okay. I can explain that. When you get attention, this is coming from the fact that I was born in the 50s, no? When you get attention, you get addicted to attention, and thus it enlarges your ego.
Yes.
And to an abnormal level, which is not good. So if I'm assuming this is the reason, and if your folks, if your elders are doing this, saying that we don't want recognition, is because not because they're afraid or because they don't want the recognition, they don't want the recognition to affect their being, to affect their psyche and make their psyche larger than reality. Absolutely. So they want to stay anchored in reality and probably make it a cause for developing humility. I think that's a cause. I was trained for that, so I applaud that, and perhaps you should make a case out of that and explain that this is a changed world. It doesn't need to be that way anymore, because if you put it out today and it multiplies, but if you just do it very quietly, it doesn't multiply as fast. This is my suggestion to your community, no?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a fine line, I think, between saying, people, this is what we're doing, you can get involved, you can make yourself useful, versus we, this company, so and so, this institute has done so much. So you have to know where the fine line is and stay on the other side.
All right, let's leave the heavy part away and let's go to Gautam.
I think you just Google FICCI.
FICCI, FICCI.
FICCI, yeah. Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce, Incorporated, Philippines. Yeah. There's a Multiply, there's a Facebook, there's of course a website. Our director Hiren has taken care of many ways and means to get in touch with us, and you can see videos, pictures and other things like that. And of course you can get in touch with Mr. Mandyan over here, who will take care of putting you in touch to us, and we'd be happy to help. Raju, okay.
Thank you for doing that. That was nice of you. Okay. So we find you through Google, and if people need help or people want to offer help, they find you on FICCI.
Yes,
fantastic.
Absolutely,
okay.
Absolutely.
On this show, that was very good. Gautam Dadlani, good luck with all you do. And Shana, may you make it to the world stage, and hope the Filipino, Indian and the Cebuano community becomes more proud of you compared to what they are today in the coming years. So God bless you and Godspeed. Salamat and mabuhay. Thank you for watching Expat Insight. These were our guests, Gautam Dadlani and Shana Dagni Siap. And this is Raju Mandyan, your host for Expat Insights. Good night and mabuhay.